Whispers of Hollow Creek. What a god-forsaken backwater, Jake exclaimed. His voice dripped with disbelief as he scanned the row of dilapidated shacks lining a dirt road pocked with craters and ruts. He had turned off Route 66 onto this forgotten stretch of rural Tennessee, a place called Hollow Creek he hadn't known existed until yesterday. Now, he felt like he'd crossed into some eerie alternate reality. A born and bred Nashville city slicker, Jake thrived on urban comforts. Paved streets, high-rises, and Wi-Fi were his world. This dump offered no decent roads, no houses worth a damn, and, as Emily had warned him with a grimace, even the toilet was a rickety outhouse out back. "This is where I grew up, you know," Emily said. Her tone carried a hint of melancholy as she stared out the window at the sagging fences and tangled underbrush whipping past. "Hey, I'm not knocking it," Jake replied. His voice softened as he caught her mood. "I mean, I took 2 whole days off from the shop just to drive us out here." "I appreciate it," she said. She turned to him with a faint smile, her hazel eyes warm. "I wouldn't have dared come alone," she added after a pause. "Look, if it gets too much and you want to bail, just say the word. No sweat. We can peel out, head back to civilization, maybe try again later, or never." "Grandma begged me to," Emily explained. Her gaze drifted back to the desolate scenery. "She wanted me to grab the paintings, old books, Grandpa's war medals, and whatever else is worth something before the locals loot it all. After that, Mom and Dad planned to sell the place." "So why's it all on you?" Jake asked. "They've been at odds with her for years. No calls, no visits. You saw it at her funeral last month. Just you and me there, nobody else," she said, her voice cracked with sorrow. "When I was a freshman at UT, I'd come stay with her sometimes, crash on her lumpy couch. But between work and classes, I let it slip. She stopped reaching out too. Every time I'd call, she'd rush me off the phone like I was a telemarketer and hang up. Tears glistened in her eyes. Her breath grew shaky." Jake fumbled for something comforting to say. Nothing came to ease Emily's pain, so he stayed quiet. "That's the house up there," she said. She pointed at a crooked wood, half-rotten, barely hiding a sagging roof peeking through the overgrowth. "Hang on, I'll get the gate," she told him. She hopped out as he pulled the Chevy to a stop on the uneven ground. Emily wrestled with the rusty latch, then shoved the gates wide. They swung open under their own lopsided weight, creaking loudly, revealing a path into the weed-choked yard. "Where the heck do I park this thing?" Jake muttered. He eyed the wild mess of 5-foot-tall ragweed and thistles swallowing the lot. "Just ease in slow," Emily called back. She brushed dirt off her hands. "Looks like nothing's hiding in the grass. Should be fine." The sky was dimming fast. The sun dipped low over the Smoky Mountains. Jake flicked on the headlights. Their beams cut through the twilight as he inched forward, flattening the tangled growth. "You left the gate wide open," he said. He climbed out of the driver's seat. "It's only 7. Does the sun really drop this quick around here in June?" he asked. He scratched his head. "No idea," Emily replied with a shrug. She stepped onto a faint trail through the weeds. "Feels normal to me, I guess," she added. She headed toward the rickety porch. "This ain't right," Jake grumbled under his breath. He pulled out his phone and tapped the flashlight on. He swept the beam across the path, half expecting to trip over a rusty rake or some forgotten junk. The sun still lingered on the horizon. Its light barely pierced the fenced-in yard, smothered by towering vegetation. "Chill out," Emily said with a small grin. She glanced back at him. "It's always been this way here, far as I can recall. Dark comes early, dawn drags its feet. Probably just how the valley's laid out." The closer they got to the house, the more its sorry state hit Jake hard. Faded blue paint flaked off the wooden siding. It exposed gray, weathered boards that must have been slapped up decades ago. The windows sagged in their frames. Some shutters hung loose. Others were boarded up with splintered planks eaten through by rot. Shattered glass panes glinted faintly. They were patched from inside with warped plywood. The porch stairs were a mess. One step was missing entirely, replaced by a wobbly stool propped up as a sad substitute. They climbed up cautiously. Their boots creaked on the uneven wood. A frayed electrical cord snaked off the porch into the gloom. Jake aimed his flashlight. It revealed a leaning shed out back, just as ancient and beat up as the house, with a barely there path winding toward it. "I don't even want to know what's in there," he said. He shook his head. "We'll poke around tomorrow," Emily replied. She brushed a cobweb from her sleeve. "It's late, and after that 4-hour haul from Nashville, we need to crash. Morning's smarter than night, right?" She shoved the front door open. It groaned in protest. She flicked a switch. A single bulb buzzed to life in the cramped entryway. It cast a weak glow into what might have once been a living room. Emily moved through the shadowy rooms. She felt along the walls for more switches, muscle memory guiding her hands. Only about 6 bulbs flickered on across the house. It left the place dim and dreary. "This place gives me the creeps," she murmured. She stepped deeper inside. Her eyes traced the clutter of her grandma's life. The decay was suffocating. Dusty relics and broken furniture stirred up a mix of dread and sadness. Why had the old lady cut everyone off when she clearly needed help? She couldn't have managed this wreck alone. "I might almost certainly do it." Worn-out rugs with faded colors hung crooked on the walls. They patched the creaky floors, too. Dozens of religious icons like wooden saints and tarnished crosses crowded every shelf and tabletop. They nestled among hundreds of melted candles. Some were burned to nubs. Others dripped wax like frozen tears. A lone mirror on the far wall was shrouded in a dingy white sheet. Dirty dishes, including plates, pots, and chipped mugs, piled up in random corners. They were crusted with old food. A wooden cross tilted on the wall, its lacquer cracked and peeled, clinging to a single rusty nail, as if one good breeze could send it crashing down. An open wardrobe sagged. Its missing doors revealed a pitiful handful of moth-eaten sweaters and dresses. Dead plants drooped in cracked pots on the sills. Their brittle leaves brushed the floorboards. The air was a choking stew of mustiness, damp rot, and something sour. It clawed at their throats. "Your grandma have a cat or something?" Jake asked. He peered into the fridge. An open can of tuna-flavored cat food sat next to a tub of mayo and a plate of gnawed bones. "Nope," Emily said. She frowned. "Well, all right then," Jake muttered. He slammed the door shut with a grimace. "Can I crack some windows?" "Please do," she nodded. She pressed her sleeve to her nose to fend off the stench. Jake yanked the plywood off a window. It let in a rush of cool air and the last glow of sunset over the Tennessee hills. He gulped the freshness. Then he spotted an odd amulet on the sill. It was a chain with a pendant, its design unfamiliar. "What's this supposed to be?" he asked. He held it up for Emily to see. Curiosity sparked in his tired eyes. "Can't tell from here," Emily said. She struck a match to light a mosquito coil she dug out of her bag. "Looks like a maze with some goofy little dudes stuck in the middle," Jake said. He tilted it under his phone's flashlight beam. The metal glinted faintly. "Might mask the stink too," she added. She cleared a spot on a rickety table near the window and set the coil down. Its smoke curled upward. "Show me," she said. She reached out. He handed her the piece. It was a 12-sided chunk of metal, etched with a raised, endless maze, and a tiny figure trapped at its core. "Never laid eyes on it before," she said. She twisted it in her fingers before passing it back. "I'll leave it here," Jake said. He placed it gently back on the sill. "Feels safer that way, you know." "How about we sleep in the truck?" he suggested. "Smell's dying down a bit," Emily countered. Her voice stayed steady. "Maybe we stay inside. The cab's cramped. Grandma's bed's the only one here, and it reeks like damp socks. You packed the sleeping bags, right?" "Yeah, in the Chevy," Jake nodded. "We can roll them out on the floor, pretend we're camping in the Smokies." She smiled and nodded as he headed out to grab their gear. Emily wandered to an old oak cabinet. Its glass doors were smudged. She studied the yellowed photos inside. One caught her. It was a blurry shot of her as a kid, grinning beside Grandma on this very porch. Nostalgia hit hard. Tears pricked her eyes again. "Got the air mattress too," Jake hollered. He burst back in with bags, a pump, and his hiking pack. "Where's a plug?" As the mattress hummed to life, he unpacked a thermos and a Tupperware of sandwiches. He set up a makeshift meal. "It's not even 8, but I swear it feels like 2 in the morning," he groaned. He poured tea into the thermos lids. "Let's scarf this down and hit the sack. My eyes are burning and I'm wiped. Just praying this mattress holds air," Jake said. He watched the pump chug along like an old tractor. "Wiring's gotta be older than dirt," Emily remarked. She nodded at the flickering bulb overhead. It synced with the pump's shaky hum. "What happened between your folks and your grandma?" Jake asked. He took a sip of tea. Its warmth soothed his frayed nerves. "After Grandpa passed," she started. Her voice dropped low. "She just shut down. No one knows why. She'd scream at us, curse, tell us to stay away. She stopped visiting us in Knoxville. No calls, no letters, nothing. When I was a kid, they quit dragging me out here. I was pissed at her, hurt too. In high school, I tried reaching out myself. For a while, it kinda worked. She'd talk, even laugh a little. But then she started pushing me away too, same as the rest." Her eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Her hands fidgeted with the thermos cap. "All right, pump's done," Jake said. He switched it off. The room fell quiet. "Sorry I dredged that up," he added. He saw her distress deepen. "It's okay," she forced a smile. She managed to make it stick. "Let's clean up a bit and crash. You bring the power bank? We'd be toast without phones out here," he chuckled. He unplugged his dying flashlight and hooked his phone to charge. "We'll sleep it off, then tackle the mess tomorrow." They settled onto the mattress. They zipped into their sleeping bags. The mosquito coil glowed faintly. It did its job. No buzzing pests disturbed them tonight. Worn out from the road and the heavy drifted off fast. Night blurred past. Jake woke first. He blinked in the dimness. "Morning, babe," he mumbled. He rolled to kiss Emily, only to find her bag empty beside him. "Probably hit the outhouse," Jake reasoned. He rubbed sleep from his eyes. "Em," he called. His voice bounced off the bare walls as he patted her chilly sleeping bag. "Emily, where'd you go?" Silence answered. He bolted upright. He scanned the room. There was no sign of her. No way. Her shoes, phone, everything's still here. Where'd she wander off to without her stuff? Barefoot, no less, he muttered. Unease tightened his chest. "How's this thing dead already?" he cursed. He yanked his phone off the lifeless power bank. 20%? Seriously? He groaned. He stared at the screen. It hadn't charged a lick overnight. No bars showed either. Emily's phone was the same. It had a dead signal. Nothing remained but to search outside. He threw on his jeans and boots. He snatched the truck keys and stumbled onto the porch. His heart thudded loudly. "What in the hell?" he shouted. He spotted his Chevy. The driver's window was busted out and the door flung wide open. "Emily, where are you at?" he yelled. He sprinted over. His voice grew raw with worry. No response came. He checked the key fob. The alarm was still armed. That didn't add up. A break-in should have set it off screaming. Either he'd slept like a rock or it had glitched. Up close, the door handle was torn clean off. The surrounding metal crumpled like tinfoil. It was sloppy, brutal work. What if she caught them in the act? Did they grab her? Jake's stomach lurched. He slid into the driver's seat. He scanned the cab for any clue. His mind raced with worst-case scenarios. The ignition slot was gouged up. It was scratched like someone had jabbed a key at it 100 times and missed every shot. Jake twisted his key. Nothing happened, not even a sputter. He slammed the horn. He hoped the blare might reach Emily wherever she was. The wheels stayed mute, no matter how hard he mashed it. This morning was spiraling into a nightmare. Weirder still, the radio and dashcam sat untouched in their mounts. Why smash in here and leave the pricey stuff? Jake wondered aloud. He felt baffled by the senseless wreckage. He swung a leg out of the cab when the alarm shrieked to life. A piercing wail shattered the stillness of the Hollow Creek dawn. His hands shook as he fumbled with the fob. He silenced it after 3 tries. Angry hollers erupted from beyond the fence. Grumpy neighbors cussed out the city punks with venom. Their threats turned dark fast. They promised to teach them a lesson. "Emily!" Jake bellowed again. Desperation cracked his voice. "Y'all seen a girl around?" He shouted toward the unseen voices. He fished for help, or at least a break from the profanity. No dice came his way. One raspy guy, clearly still drunk from last night, mistook him for a rooster. He told him to shove off in terms a sailor'd blush at. Jake ignored them. He called her name over and over. He zigzagged through the waist-high grass. His boots sank into the damp earth. He yanked out his phone and punched in 911. The screen showed no bars. It died mid-dial. Its battery drained flat. The sunlight dimmed around the yard. Shadows stretched long. Dusk came already? Jake flicked his wrist. He checked his watch. It read 6:30 in the evening. "What the hell is this?" he snarled. He chucked the useless phone into the truck's cab. What kind of freaky crap is going on here? Time doesn't just skip like that. Was he losing it? Days flicked to night in hours. He darted back inside for Emily's phone. He nearly face-planted when the porch stool buckled under him. He grabbed the railing and steadied himself. Then he froze. The shed door hung open. It swayed slightly. Maybe she hid there when those punks hit the truck, he thought. Hope flared as he bolted across the yard. Gotta find her and haul ass out of this hellhole. On foot, in the dark, whatever it takes. Please, just let her be okay, he prayed. Panic clawed at his gut. He charged into the shed. He slammed hard into a workbench hidden in the gloom. His eyes hadn't adjusted to the dark. He hadn't seen the damn thing. A kerosene lamp teetered on the workbench's edge from the collision. It tipped sideways. Thank God it didn't shatter, Jake muttered. He snatched it up along with a pack of matches scattered nearby. Good thing I've watched enough old movies to figure this out, he said. He struck a match and lit the wick with a shaky hand. Emily, you in here? he called. His voice tightened with hope. Nothing but silence answered. The shed was a cluttered mess. Crooked wooden shelves lined the walls. They sagged under jars and cans crusted with mold and cobwebs. Some were empty. Others held a sloshing black goo he didn't dare investigate. He shouted her name again. The echo mocked his fading optimism. No hiding spots existed. She'd stick out like a sore thumb. Then his boot hit something solid. It wasn't the soft dirt floor. He swung the lamp down. A concrete slab appeared, half covered in grime, with a rusty handle jutting out. He set the lamp aside and grabbed it. He pulled, but nothing budged. He heaved again, harder. He pictured a trapdoor to a cellar where Emily might have fallen, hurt and out cold. It wouldn't give. Hands alone wouldn't cut it. He needed leverage. He reached for the lamp. He caught a glint in its faint light. Something metal shone in the dirt nearby. Buried in the muck lay that weird amulet from the windowsill. "How'd this end up here?" Jake gasped. His heart leaped. "Emily's been in here." The first real lead lit a fire in him. He scooped it up and brushed off the dirt. He held it near the lamp. The slab flickered with a dull glow. A red maze traced itself across the concrete. It mirrored the amulet's design. Freaked out, he flung it aside. He knocked the lamp over. The glow snuffed out instantly. "Get a grip, man," he whispered. He repeated it over and he fought to keep his head straight. "This is insane. Gotta be seeing things." He steadied his breath and grabbed the lamp. He righted it and picked up the amulet again. Hesitant, he brought it close to the slab. The glow flared back, brighter. It pulsed as he inched nearer. A low groan rumbled from below. The floor quivered under his boots. Half tranced, he kept going until the slab cracked apart. Chunks slid into the earth. They exposed a dark, twisting stone staircase plunging downward. "Emily, you down there?" he yelled. He leaned over the edge. A rotting stench slammed into him. It was so foul, he gagged hard. No answer came. He shouted her name a few more times. His ears strained as the echo faded into the depths. "What if she's hurt and can't call back?" Jake muttered. He steeled himself. He sucked in a last clean breath and stepped onto the stairs. He descended into the reeking unknown. His head spun. His throat burned raw from the stench. It worsened with every step, like death itself clawed up from below. Between choking gasps, he hollered for Emily. He prayed for any sound of her as silence mocked him. It was broken only by his own ragged breathing. After what felt like 100 steps, or maybe 1,000, he couldn't tell. He hit a tunnel. Earthen walls pressed in. The floor became a slick mess of black mud sucking at his boots. Then, faint but real, Emily's voice drifted from the distance. It was mumbled and garbled, but hers. "Emily!" he shouted. Joy and relief surged as he slogged forward. His legs burned from the effort. He couldn't catch her words. She didn't answer his calls. She kept droning on in that eerie monotone. Ankle deep in the slime, he pushed harder. Her voice sharpened. Random phrases held no sense to them. "She's out of it," he thought. His heart pounded as he closed the gap. The tunnel sloped downward. It twisted into a maze that spiraled right. It pulled him towards some unseen center. Center of what? Who'd carved this crazy labyrinth under a Tennessee shed, and why? Questions gnawed at him. They mixed rage with a creeping fear that screamed at him to turn tail and run. He wanted to flee, far from this nightmare pit. But Emily, his Emily, he couldn't ditch her. Tracking her voice through the winding paths was brutal. Getting out would be a whole new hell with all these forks and turns. Then a man's voice rumbled. It was deep and guttural. Jake stopped dead. His blood iced over. She's not alone down here, he realized. Terror flashed hot. He should have called the sheriff. He should have banged on neighbors' doors or grabbed a tire iron. Anything but drag her to this cursed place. Emily's scream cut through. It was sharp and panicked. The man's harsh growl met it in some alien tongue that burrowed into Jake's skull. It felt primal and wrong. She was trapped with some lunatic. He was doing something to her. Jake felt it in his bones. Jake took off. Adrenaline pumped like wildfire. His legs churned despite the mud and drenched clothes weighing him down. The man's voice boomed louder. It drowned out Emily's. Hers faded to whispers, then vanished. No matter how loud Jake screamed her name, she didn't respond. He stumbled into a cavern. His lamp cast weak shadows. There she stood, alone, chained to a stone slab in the middle. She was knee-deep in writhing black liquid. Massive rusted chains pinned her wrists and neck. Only faint red marks showed, like they didn't even chafe. Her nightgown hung in tatters. It was soaked in that black muck and streaked with blood. Whose, he couldn't tell. The light was too dim to see more. He snapped out of his shock. Jake yelled her name. His voice cracked with desperation. She didn't flinch. He plunged into the liquid. It was thick as molasses and shifted like it had a mind of its own. It deepened fast. It hit his waist in 3 steps. 5 yards still stretched between them. Up close, Jake saw her face, her head bowed, wet hair plastered over closed eyes. She muttered low. A man's gravelly tones spilled from her lips. Words jumbled and sounded wrong. He shouted and begged her to look at him. She stayed locked in her trance. She remained oblivious as he sank chest deep. The ground vanished. The black stuff sucked him under. He thrashed and clawed upward. It parted beneath him, relentless. His strength bled out. His lungs screamed for air. Hands, cold and unseen, grabbed his legs. They yanked hard. Then more pulled opposite ways. Dozens ripped at him like he was prey. "Thanks," Emily's voice purred in his head. It sounded sweet and clear. "I wouldn't have come without you." Guilt crashed in. Why'd he bring her here? He couldn't hold it. His mouth opened. The black flood poured in. It choked him and filled his lungs and veins. His mind frayed. His eyes widened in the dark. He searched for a shred of hope. It was all a dream. Cold blackness clawed at him. He passed out. Coming to, Jake lay dazed in his sleeping bag. He sprawled across the dusty floor of Emily's grandma's living room. Memories slammed back. The cave, the chains overwhelmed him. He whipped around. Emily slept beside him, peaceful. Her breathing was soft. Sunlight streamed through the busted windows. It was warm and golden. It eased his racing pulse. Just a nightmare, he told himself. Relief washed over him, like a Tennessee summer rain. Then grit scraped his teeth. It was foul and earthy. He looked at her. Her hair was matted with filth. Her nightgown was ripped and caked in dried black mud. Red welts marked her wrists and neck where the shackles had gripped. Horror clawed back as he checked himself. His bag and clothes were smeared with the same crusty slime. On the floor, inches away, sat the maze amulet. Its little figure stared up at him.